Hey guys, this is Mark from SixFiveTurboGarage.com, and as you can see behind me, we've had some issues. I'm just about ready to pull the motor in this thing. If you read my blog post, you'll know I had a little bit of issues not paying attention to what I'm doing. I caused a problem myself and caused a total loss of coolant, and it was just a massive change in temperature, and pretty sure it caused the heads to crack, quite possibly the cylinder to crack. Anyway, go to that the blog post there and you'll see a little bit more detail. But I've got a little bit into it. We'll back up here and show you piece by piece a little bit about what I've done to pull the radiator core support out. That's the first time I'd ever done that, and I'm glad I finally made myself go ahead and do it, because it sure makes it a lot easier. So we'll go through that and we'll get you up to speed with where we're at here. And then we'll continue on with it and pull the motor out and start the tear down hopefully today, and see what the issue is. So as you can see, we've got the inner fender pulled on the passenger side. I didn't bother with the driver's side because I've got many other things bolted to the inner fender itself, and I didn't want to mess with it. And mostly I just wanted access to be able to get in and pull the turbo off and just go ahead and remove as much as I could from this side, and pulling that inner fender off sure helps. And of course the radiator core support, giving access, and this is pretty good for me. I don't think I have to worry about that inner fender on the driver's side. And again, went ahead and pulled the exhaust manifold and the turbo off and out of there. I pulled the 11mm nut on the band clamp on my downpipe, loosened it below, dropped the downpipe out, and pulled the bolts loose from a crossover pipe. And then I pulled the nuts off of the glow plug wire protectors and pulled those loose, pulled the glow plug wires off. And then I was able to pull all of the studs from number 8 back, and then the last 3 are bolts. And with the crossover, the downpipe loose, all the bolts loose, and the turbo drain clamp loosened, and the top oil supply loose, then the whole exhaust manifold and turbo was able to come right out. So, and I have learned since that you're not supposed to use manifold gaskets, but I didn't have a problem with them. However, I'll probably clean these up and just use a thin coat of copper coat and do it like you're supposed to, and that is just metal to metal. So that's about where I'm at right now. I just wanted to get as much off this motor as I could, make it a little bit lighter. As you can see, I'm working outside in my temporary shop solution here, and I just got one of those cheap little rain barrier, really is all I was looking for here. These are not good at all for high winds or any sort of snow load. I went ahead and bolstered the connections there, and that made it a lot stronger. And then I secured it with weights down on every post. So I've got some rain protection, and then I do have a solid gravel bottom. This is actually the beginning of my shop floor, so that's pretty solid. And then I just got some 3/4 inch plywood and laid it down to support the cherry picker there. We've got it hooked up. At this point, I am ready to pull the connecting bolts on the transmission to the motor, and we'll be ready to pull this thing out of here. So let's go ahead and get her yanked. Having this inner core support and the inner fender out, sure makes it easier to reach the motor mounts here too. You have to pull the wires off of the starter. Let's see. It's a 18 millimeter in the back nut and a 16 millimeter on the front bolt head on the motor mount. And you need a battery when you use power tools. Thought it felt a little light. Yeah, that's what I figured. These Makitas are nice to have, but they don't have a lot of torque to them. Nut off, I just cannot get any pressure on that bolt, on that motor mount to get it out. There we go. So those motor mounts are pointed. You can see there to facilitate getting them in the hole to begin with. So I just got a 10 millimeter socket, put some pressure on it like that, and spun it, and it came right out. Okay, we're good there. So to get this motor pulled, I can't show you really at all, but back here there's one 13 millimeter stud accessible here, and then right down about here on both sides. You might be able to get a shot from below here. This is a NV4500 transmission, of course, but the bell housing is bolted the same on the 4L80Es. But there's your one stud there, right there, and the other one is right there. And then you'll have one more up above, accessible from above. And on the other side, here we have, on the starter side here, really, let's see if I can get a shot and be able to point it out to you. You can see it anyway, but just in case, there's that one there, and then the one right up there. And then again, you can almost see it, but not quite. Anyway, the last one will be tucked right up there. You'll access from above. I don't know why I have such trouble getting to those top engine mount bolts. Doesn't seem like everybody else does. My the firewall insulation is in the way, and anyway, just very difficult to get to. This is what I had to resort to to get the wrench back down in there and then angled to be able to get those mount studs off, but it works. They're great wrenches. So here's a pro tip for all you newbies out there. Having the right size wrench helps. It's certainly not something you do very often. Thank goodness. So I could have swore I knew what size it was, but I didn't. I was wrong. That's okay. So now I remember why, or now I know why I had the wrong size wrench, and I remember why they do this. I don't know. I understand that different size nuts and bolts have got different clamping force, but you've got a 14 millimeter stud holding that motor in there, and then they put a 13 millimeter to hold on brackets and clamps and stuff. So you need 2 wrenches just to pull that tension stud out of there. Stupid. So I wanted to show you one little thing on the passenger side, pulling the motor studs out. And that is this guy here. You've got one stud comes right in there, and then one here. It's part of the heat shield on the starter, which you want. You can see the configuration there. It's just a little L bracket, and then it gives something for the heat shield to bolt to. So you've got to pull the 13 millimeter nut off of that, and then pull the stud, the bolt out, and then pull that little bracket off of there. So, okay, we got to disconnect the power on the starter. There's a 16 millimeter nut on the stud, and then a little 7 millimeter, I believe, on the small switch wire. Magnets. Makes your life a lot easier. Dropping bolts, pulling off little washers like this. Okay, power's loose. Foam. I didn't pull my starter off. I should have. I think I will. No, I won't. I think we're good. Gotta be careful of that input shaft on the transmission. casters are fighting me. Gotta roll them around the right direction here. Working on this plywood is not exactly conducive to an easy rolling wheel. Get out for my different connections I missed. Block heater. I kind of envy you guys that do this every day. It's second nature, you know the next step. And boy, us shade tree guys, we gotta remember as we go. Unfortunately, that's how you break things occasionally. Got a ground right here on the back back of the head on the passenger side. Don't want to forget. Give you a little idea what we're looking at back here if you've never seen. It looks like a mess, but it's not. This was for up here. These plugs I don't even use, but that's for the injector pump harness. So everything kind of goes physically in the area back where it goes to, and then you look at the pins and you can see where it all hooks up, or just label them. That's probably the best thing for you to do. Right now I'm looking at this here is for the fuel filter manager, heat and all that, or water and fuel, and the heater. Do this one-handed again. And it's not working. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. It's just kind of one at a time. Oh, that's what I had the drain. That's my drain line I got to pull loose. I knew there was something I was forgetting. And your glow plug controller's got to come loose. So just make sure everything is pulled free. If you need to do jobs like this in a hurry, you're going to just frustrate yourself and break things. Just know you got to take your time, do things one at a time, and get it figured out. Okay, let's see if she's ready to go. Alright, there you go. She's out. So, I wanted to give you a shot of this. You think you've got a blown head gasket? Oh man, look at that. That's awesome. That's pretty well blown. Tell you what, if I get away with not having a cracked head or a block, man, I'm gonna sing the praises of optimizer motors forever. Kind of do anyway, but if you've never seen it before, that's inside your injector hole, and that's your pre-cup right there. So you can see where your your glow plug goes in there, and it actually is physically in the pre-cup, heats up your fuel, and then your fuel is injected right inside that small chamber, and then everything goes right out that pre-cup. So that's why people are usually interested in information on whether or not the pre-cup sizes do you any good. Personally, I'm going to go with the diamond pre-cups. See how wet that is all in there compared to the dry carbon in there. Number 6, number 4. Drop the little schmutz down in there, and that's a number 2. So yeah, there you go. That's about as blown as you can get. Shit. South Bend Kevlar clutch. Not something you want to be dropping around. Had some questions recently about the dual mass flywheel. Get rid of it. Mine originally came with a dual mass. I've had a solid single in it for 13 years, and it's been great. Looks good. South Bend Kevlar clutch, 34,000 miles of wear on it. Well, looks good to me. Okay, let's see if we can get this son of a gun on the stand. Okay. Okay, there we are. Motor's out on the engine stand. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and pull this passenger side head off there and take a look at how bad the damage is. Hopefully we just got a really badly blown gasket. If that's the case, then I've already talked to Chris Stratton to get a set of his marine injectors. Looking forward to that, and get a set of Victor Rhines gaskets. Use some copper coat on it. I'm learning that that's a pretty good way to do things, and guys have had real good success with that. And then put it all back together. I still am considering doing the pre-cups, but that takes considerably more work, and I'm gonna have to consider the time involved here anyway. So anyway, that's what we got tonight, and tomorrow we'll go ahead and start yanking that side apart.